I spent $80 on that pillow and no one ever told me. Forget it. Let's just forget about that and take a look at some pistol mods for Fallout 4. This game really needs more pistols since by itself it only has a single decent looking one, the Deliverer. That just isn't enough for me. I've got 10 pistol mods to go over today, listed on screen right now. Obviously there are more than 10 pistols on the Fallout 4 Nexus, and I likely missed some of the better ones. This list is simply what I found by randomly browsing, and I'll definitely produce another video covering pistols at some point in the future. Note that I'm only going to be looking at magazine-fed pistols today. I'll cover revolvers or pistols with clips in another video. Choosing the best mod this week was very easy. Although there's plenty of great pistols on this list, one outshines them all. The Glock 19X. This gun is an absolute joy to use. It has excellent animations and tons of modifications to play around with. However, if you demand something lore-friendly, the 9mm Pistol Redux mod is also a great choice despite not being as pretty or having as many attachments. Those are my recommendations. Now let's talk about each pistol in detail. First on the list we have the Jericho 941. It doesn't have any fixed spawns, but it does have leveled list injection, so you can find it on NPCs and in vendor inventories. The modeling and texture work on this gun is decent. It's nothing remarkable, but it's certainly not bad. The firing sound is quite unpleasant to my ears, but it's not terrible enough to knock down the walls of Jericho or anything. Animations are taken from the vanilla game's Deliverer pistol, which doesn't look very good at all, but that does mean at least the weapon works well in third person and in power armor. Another upside is that any reanimation for the Deliverer will also apply to the Jericho. In this clip, I'm using the Pistol Reanimation Pack by the Shiny Haxorus, and as you can see, it's a massive improvement over the vanilla animations. As for attachments, there are a bunch of receivers and 2 conversion barrels for both 10mm and 45 to replace the default 38 chambering. The firing sound changes depending on which caliber you choose, but none of the 3 options sound particularly good in my opinion. There's several grips, some extended magazines, there's glow sights, a reflex sight, 2 compensators, a suppressor that makes the sound a little more bearable, 4 different slide colors, a flashlight, and a katana bayonet. There is a patch for this weapon that gives the Jericho the wondrous animations and superior sounds from the Glock 19 mod I recommended at the beginning of this video, but sadly this mod also introduces a bug that breaks the Jericho's magazine texture, turning it into a distracting shade of purple. It also removes the caliber conversion barrels, so I would highly recommend you stay away from this reanimation. It does far more harm than good. Overall, I think this is a decent weapon, especially when you consider it's from 2017, but it's nothing special compared to what's coming up. Second is the Modern Warfare 50 GS, or Desert Eagle as I'll be calling it. Make sure you download the Gun Down hotfix, or the weapon will use the wrong animations when you press your face against a wall. The mods page says it requires see-through scopes, but I could not find any attachments that actually required the see-through scopes mod to function properly. So you don't need to download see-through scopes to use this mod. But you shouldn't be using this mod anyways, it sucks. I'll show you why. The model and texture work are superb, and the animations look great since they've been taken directly from the latest Modern Warfare game. However, the firing sound is ridiculously loud, and the third-person animations fuck up the camera, making it nearly impossible to see your character. Also, for some insane reason I can't possibly fathom, the weapon uses combat rifle animations in third-person power armor. At least it's functional, but why not use the 10mm or Deliverer animations instead? In first-person power armor, there's a lot of clipping, but that's to be expected. What's worse is a bug that makes footstep sounds play more frequently when this weapon is equipped. It's very annoying, and those 2 bugs together make this weapon difficult to use in power armor. As for attachments, the Desert Eagle has 7 receivers, 3 barrels, 4 triggers, 3 magazines, 6 different reflex sights, 4 suppressors that do nothing to reduce the noise, 3 other muzzle devices, 4 grips, 3 laser pointers, and 11 different skins for the weapon. There's also prestige ranks, which add extra cheat damage, and perks that give you bonuses similar to a legendary weapon. The dumbest part about this mod is it unnecessarily changes the name of pre-war money to COD points. Are you fucking kidding me? This gun has great animations, but everything else about it is broken as all hell. Definitely pass on this one. The 9mm pistol, or Browning High Power, returning from Fallout New Vegas, is the third mod on my list. Make sure to grab the update hotfix on the Nexus page when downloading this weapon. This pistol has not only leveled list injection, but also 4 different legendary variants, each coming with a unique texture you can't apply at a weapons workbench. Maria, Benny's gun from Fallout New Vegas, can be found at the glowing sea inside Hope's March Pentecostal Church. A blood-stained variant called Bloody Mary can be found on a table in Pickman's Gallery. Another variant named Mare can be found at Trinity Church. A fourth variant, La Innocence, can be found at Union's Hope Cathedral on an altar. The weapon introduces its own 9mm ammo, which could be a problem if you have a different mod that adds the same ammo type, although I'm certain there are patches for most caliber mods considering the popularity this pistol enjoys. The model and texture work is excellent, and uniquely this gun comes with 2 separate first-person animation sets, one with a one-handed grip and another with a two-handed grip. They both look amazing, and it might be hard to decide which one you like better. As far as attachments go, there's a whole shitload of receivers, including ones that convert the pistol to either 38 or 10mm, a comfort grip or wooden stock, extended and quick eject magazines, glow sights, a reflex sight, a short scope that looks like the one from New Vegas, some muzzle brakes, a long barrel, a suppressor, and 4 different paint jobs besides the legendary ones. This is a really awesome gun. It's not as great as the Glock 19, but it's definitely a close second, and it's a good choice for just about anyone's load order. Fourth is the Makarov PM. The mod comes with an installer. You can choose 2K or 1K textures. For personal use, honestly, I would prefer 1K, but to show it off properly in this video, I picked the higher res option. You can also install a patch for the new calibers mod, so the Makarov uses the 9x18mm ammo it does in real life, rather than Fallout 4's ubiquitous 10mm ammo. Apparently there was an attempt at some point to get this weapon into leveled lists, but as of the latest release, the injection scripts have been removed, so the only way to legitimately acquire this weapon is through the chemistry lab. This gun has some beautiful modeling and texture work, and the first-person animations are superb. In third person, it seems like deliverer animations have been used again, but they fit well enough. The gun works just fine in power armor too. Best of all, this gun has 30 different receivers, some of them lengthening the slide. 4 different barrels, 4 different grips, one of which features a stock, 4 magazines, a compensator, a muzzle brake, a hilariously long barrel, and a suppressor. You can choose between 6 different grip colors, 4 different frame textures, and there are glow sights and reflex sights. Finally, there's an option to mount an underbarrel rail that can host a flashlight, laser, or foregrip, and a bunch of different scopes. The modification potential of this weapon is off the charts. You can build some ridiculous monstrosities at the weapon workbench, and I completely approve. I think this is a damn good weapon. It's too bad the competition is so stiff today because it might have won otherwise. Fifth is the Glock 19-X. I don't know what the X stands for, to be honest. This is the mod that I recommended. It comes in both 4K and 2K textures, and like always, I recommend the 2K version. There's no pre-placed spawns for the Glock, but you can craft it at a chem lab, and it does have leveled list integration. Unfortunately, the mod interrupts your gameplay with an annoying menu to ask you how you want the gun distributed. Thankfully, unlike the Mossberg from my pump action shotguns video, this menu always appears when the mod is first loaded instead of waiting until you hit a certain level. Being harassed at the beginning of a playthrough while in the bathroom is only a minor problem, and in any case, it's my only problem with this mod. This weapon is absolutely immaculate in appearance. The model is perfect, the textures are perfect, the sounds are perfect, and the animations are beyond perfect. They actually look better than the Call of Duty Modern Warfare animations they're based off of. There's even custom animations for third person when there really didn't need to be. The gun also works well in power armor, although the third-person animations are understandably taken from the Deliverer. There's plenty of modifications, not as many as the Makarov we just looked at, but still a ton of variety. There's 28 receivers, 2 barrels, 3 grips, 7 different magazine sizes that actually affect the reload animation in first person, 5 different sights, a compensator, and 2 different types of suppressor, 2 flashlights and a laser sight, 3 different material types, and damage cheat modifiers. Yeah, this gun is fucking great. Give it a download. Sixth, we have the H&K USP. Like the last mod, there's 2K and 4K versions, and my recommendation is the same. By default, you can craft this gun at the Chem Lab, but there's a leveled list integration patch available in the optional files section, as well as a fix for the all-too-common purple sight glitch AMD graphics cards suffer from. Beyond that, there is one unique version found at the top of Kingsport Lighthouse named Gordon, which looks like the pistol from Half-Life 2. There's also a unique crowbar weapon placed next to it as well. The crowbar actually has its own unique animation set, and it has one modification, a blade attachment. That's a nice extra I wasn't expecting. As for the USP itself, it looks amazing and it has great animations, including in third person. Of course, it's not as good as the Glock 19 we just looked at, but being fair, that is a tough act to follow. Sadly, in power armor, while functional, this mod has the same bug as the Desert Eagle that doubles the number of footstep sounds you hear in first person, potentially creating a cacophony of noise. There's an okay selection of modifications, 9 receivers, 1 barrel, 4 different mags, 6 sight options, a compensator and muzzle brake, 6 different suppressors, the option to switch to .45 caliber, damage modifier cheats, and 5 different material types. The different magazines do change the reload animation, which I like. Overall, this is a good weapon, but it's not good enough for me to recommend. Seventh is the Beretta M9, or Beretta M9-FS, whatever you want to call it. This is the only weapon on this list to be packaged as an ESL, and it deserves some brownie points for that. Of course, that's not the only draw of this gun. It has leveled list integration, as well as an astounding 5 legendary variants based off of Fallout 4's major factions. A gunner-themed variant named Born to Kill can be found at the Mass Pike interchange on top of this toilet. A Minutemen-themed variant called A Moment's Notice can be found in the castle next to the dead Minutemen General. A railroad variant called Freedom's Trail can be found at the Railroad HQ. On the Pridwin Command deck, you can find a Brotherhood of Steel variant called BOS Paladin M9-FS. And finally, you can find a Nuka-themed Beretta called Papa Cap at the Atomatoys Corporate HQ. By default, this gun has some nice model and texture work and pretty decent sounds, but it's entirely let down by the vanilla Deliverer animations. They look really bad on this weapon. The slide looks like it's broken since it doesn't retract nearly far enough back to allow the weapon to cycle. Luckily, there is a mod called Fiddler's Beretta M9-FS Animation Overhaul that gives this gun some unique animations in first person, which look a hell of a lot better than the Deliverer animations. They still don't look as good as some of the other animations on this list, of course. For modifications, we have 9 receivers, 2 barrels, 3 grips, 4 magazines, glow sights and a reflex sight, 2 compensators and a suppressor, a flashlight/laser combo, 12 different grip colors including the legendary variants, and 8 different frame colors, once again including legendaries. Overall, this is a pretty good mod. I like all the legendary variants, but I'm disappointed by the relatively small number of customization options besides skins, and the awful default animations. If you're using Fiddler's Animation Overhaul, this is probably a good gun to download though. It's still not good enough to recommend. 8th is the Viper 6610 innovative 10mm pistol, made by the same guy who did the crate shotgun I reviewed earlier. Like that weapon, this one is very science fiction looking. It's integrated into leveled lists and has one unique variant called SCP-6610. Yes, this mod ties into the SCP Foundation for some reason. You can find it at the USAF satellite station Olivia. This weapon looks and sounds great, and at first glance appears to use Deliverer animations. Upon closer inspection, however, it seems that the animations are only based on the Deliverer set, and they've actually been modified to better fit the weapon. that means you can't replace this weapon's animations. They'll always be crappy. The modification potential is decent. 24 receivers, some allowing for burst or full auto fire, 5 barrels, 3 grips, 4 magazines, over 20 sight options, although many of them are simply different color variations, a compensator, muzzle brakes, 2 suppressors, and 3 paint jobs. The innovative pistol's fire rate seems to be off in third-person mode, especially when using a full auto receiver. The fire rate is so high that the animation kind of bugs out. It doesn't look very good, and I would stick with a semi-auto or 3-round burst receiver with this weapon. To conclude, this is kind of a mediocre mod. Definitely usable, but not one I would recommend. The Colt Delta Elite is the 9th mod on our list. It comes packaged as loose files, which is kind of a no-no for me, but whatever. There is a version of this mod that replaces the 10mm pistol, but beyond that, there's only one copy of this pistol in the world, placed right outside of Vault 111. You can't even craft it at a chem lab. The model is good, but the weapon's textures are way too pristine for a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The sounds are acceptable, but once again, the biggest letdown is the Deliverer animations, which look really bad. Even an animation replacer can't save this weapon, because its large size compared to the Deliverer can lead to major clipping issues. There's an okay number of modifications, 14 receivers, 5 barrels, although I can't see any visual difference between them, 3 grips, 4 magazines, the option for glow sights, a reflex sight, or a recon scope, a compensator, a muzzle brake, and 2 suppressors, 1 underbarrel laser, and the ability to switch between the default 10mm or 45. This is another mediocre but functional mod. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can use it without issue. The 10th and final mod on this list is the FNX-45. It can be found only in one place, inside a safe in the player's home in Sanctuary Hills. Interestingly, the safe is actually present before the war, but it can't be opened until you return after the bombs drop. It can also be crafted at a chem lab. The model and textures are okay, but the sound is crappy. This weapon also uses the Deliverer's ugly animations, and due to the size of the slide, there's actually some clipping with the hand during the reload. It does not look good. Luckily, there is a custom animation available if you download an optional file, but first you'll have to download another pistol animation pack and override its contents with that optional file. Then you'll have some pretty decent animations. Unfortunately, since you can only have one Deliverer animation replacer at once, all weapons that use these animations will be altered, including the vanilla Deliverer, which doesn't look quite right. There is an acceptable number of attachments, 9 receivers, 2 barrels, 3 caliber conversions, 4 barrel devices and 4 suppressors, a laser that won't help you hit shit, a flashlight, tritium iron sights, 8 different reflex sights that are all basically the same, 5 different ammo types including incendiary, 5 different materials, and damage increasing cheats. So the FNX-45, our last mod for today, is just about average. I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, I know this was a long video, but I hope it helped you by showcasing some pistol mods you hadn't seen before. Until next time, toodles!